Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live. I want to welcome you to Facebook Live Hardcore Course in Miracles. We're going to talk about Beyond the Body. What does the Course Miracles means when it says it's time for us to go beyond the body? Well, we're going to hear about that. We're going to recognize that in just a minute. Beyond the body, that's where we're going to go. It's going to be a very, very deep Course in Miracles. This is going to be saying some things that's going to be really way out. This is going to be awesome. And we're going to start out with our theme song while we all come together. Here we go. Can you hear me okay? If you can, just send me a few heart emojis. Here we go. Glad you can. Let's breathe. Here we go.
There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that love was born inside of everyone. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves.
We've got to choose love as ourselves.
When you choose love, you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around.
I want to welcome you to Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy. And we're going to do an extremely deep, powerful Course in Miracles hardcore. This is going to be a hardcore class. You're going to understand. We're going to talk about beyond the body. We're going to share something that's very deep. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready to go as deep in the Course in Miracles as you can go.
Put your arms around me and know that we are one. Oh. There's a call for God. upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we'll be the same.
All right, here we go. I hope that's giving you a chance to kind of allow yourself to get centered. I'd like to ask you to just take a breath for a minute, because we're going to talk about a section. We're going to do a section in the Course in Miracles that's one of the most profound sections in A Course in Miracles. It's called Beyond the Body. And in the Foundation for Inner Peace book, it's going to be in the text. It's going to be on page 384. Page 384 in the text, which is going to be chapter 18, section 6, paragraph 1. Chapter 18, the passing of the dream, section 6, paragraph 1. That's what we're going to do, beyond the body. So take a breath. We're going to talk about, the first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath with me right now. Let go of everything about your day. For just an hour, let go of what you think of as your problems or things that you're trying to figure out. I'm the Divine Remembering Coach. I'm the Divine Repetition Teacher. I'm Earl Purdy, and I decided to be that because, do you know, the Course in Miracles says that it's most important that we remember what it says, that we remember what it says, and then we apply what it says to our thinking. The Course in Miracles is about correcting your perception, giving you a way of looking at things that would allow you to stay happy, give you a way of looking at things that would allow you to keep your peace. The Course in Miracles works at the level of the mind. The Course in Miracles works at the level of the mind, the level of our perception. It's working on our interpretation. That's the level the Course in Miracles works on. Because the Course in Miracles says that your feelings, your happiness and your unhappiness is coming from the meaning and the perceptions and the thoughts that you are using. So we're going to talk about beyond the body. So remember, you need not believe the ideas. And I'm so glad you're here with me, mighty companion. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas may seem to be quite startling. Some of the ideas may startle you. Some of the ideas may startle you. Some of the ideas, especially in this section that we're going to start on. Some of these ideas I'm about to say to you may startle you and may be hard to believe. You are not being asked to judge the ideas. So as we go through this, I'm not going to be analyzing the Course in Miracles. I have one purpose, and that's for us to clearly hear what the Course in Miracles is telling us, so that we can apply the attitudes that it's telling us, so that we can have the happiness and the joy that it's promising us. I don't know about you, but I want the happiness and the joy that the Course in Miracles is promising. And so I'm going to take this extremely slow. So those of you who would like to learn more about how to read the Course in Miracles, this is going to be also a very helpful class for you. And those of you that are listening and watching, I'm so glad you're here. Now, the very first sentence is awesome. Do you know what the very first sentence says? The very first sentence says, there is nothing outside you. There is nothing outside of you. There is nothing outside of you. There's nothing outside of me. That means I am not outside of you. I am not outside of you. Do you know that I'm not outside of you? There's nothing outside you. There is nothing outside you. Do you know that that's what you must ultimately learn? So what is it that the Course in Miracles trying to teach us? That first of all, we need to remember that we're not being asked to judge these ideas or to analyze these ideas. It's the use of these ideas that will give them meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. If you use the ideas. So we have to use these thoughts if we want to see that these thoughts are true. Now, what I'm sharing with you right now, I want you to look at this as if the Course in Miracles is just saying, this is the way that it is. Now, you may not know that this is the way that it is. You may not believe that this is the way that it is, but I'm just going to tell you the way that it is. That's what the Course in Miracles is saying. That's what Jesus of the Course is saying. You know what? I'm going to just tell you some facts that you might not realize, some facts you might not believe. But just let me tell you, the first thing that I want to let you know is that you're going to ultimately learn that there's nothing outside of you. I know you don't think that that's true right now. Probably you believe that there's a whole world outside of you, and that there are people outside of you, and that there are things outside of you. But you're going to learn, which means you may not realize it right now, but there's nothing outside of you. And it's in the realization that there's nothing outside of you that the kingdom of heaven is restored to you. And the Course in Miracles is going to give us its definition of heaven in this paragraph. We're going to see what the Course in Miracles means when it says heaven. But if you want, heaven is just another word. Ultimately, the Course in Miracles is always talking about love or fear. And so heaven is just another name for reality. Where we came from is so happy, so peaceful, so loving, beyond anything that we can imagine, that the Course calls it heaven. That love is so beautiful, so awesome, so satisfying, that love is heaven. So if you want to have love restored to you, if you want to have the kingdom of heaven restored to you, then you're going to realize one day, you may not realize it now because you may think you're separate from everything and everyone, but the truth is there is nothing outside you. That's what you're going to ultimately learn. And what does that mean? Well, that means that God created only heaven. The Creator created only love. The Creator created only love. Our Creator only created love. Our Creator only created love. And do you know that the Course says our Creator did not depart from us or leave us separate from it? So the Course in Miracles says God is love. So you could say love created only love, and love didn't depart from love, and love didn't separate itself from love. So you are love. You're the only thing that's been created. You may not think you are only love. You may not know that you're only love. You may think that you're lacking in some way. You may think something is missing. You may feel guilty. You may feel afraid. You may feel angry. You may have a lot of feelings right now. But don't forget what I said. What I'm doing right now is just telling you the facts. The Course says, whether you realize it or not, God created only love. God didn't separate or depart itself from you. So love did not separate itself from you. So what is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is your real dwelling place. It's where you really live. So love is where you really live. Love is where you really live. You really live in love. Now, do you realize that you only live in love? Do you realize you're only surrounded by love and peace and joy and happiness? You probably don't. I know I don't. That's why I'm studying the Course in Miracles, because I need to hear the truth about who I really am and the truth about where I really came from, because the Course is saying it's no way that we would be going through the pain and the suffering and the fear that we experience if we really knew who we really are, if you really knew who you really are. So the Course in Miracles is now just trying to tell us some facts. There's nothing outside of you. When you realize that there's nothing outside of you, that's when you're going to have happiness restored to you, that God created only love and happiness, that God didn't depart from you, and you cannot separate yourself from your Creator. You don't know that, maybe, but you can't separate yourself from love. And the kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place. Love is our dwelling place. The Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. So you have never left your Creator. You've never left love, and you don't dwell apart from your Creator. You haven't left your Creator, you haven't left love, and you don't live separate from love. You haven't left love, and you don't dwell separate from love. So now do you know what the Course in Miracles is about to give you? The Course in Miracles is about to give you its definition of heaven. As you know, I have been sharing A Course in Miracles for over 41 years now. And let me give you a tip. The Course in Miracles has its own definitions of the terms that it uses. The Course in Miracles has its own definition of the terms that it uses. I like to work out of the book because I want to motivate you, if at all possible, to study A Course in Miracles and apply the Course in Miracles in your life. It will blow your mind in terms of the kind of, I have experienced miracles of healing and happiness and love in my life that seemed almost supernatural. I just experienced one that's just this past weekend. I experienced a miracle and a healing that was mind-boggling after I sat down and I worked on the lesson we did last week and said that prayer. You see, when I look at those prayers in A Course in Miracles, to me, they're almost like incantations. You know, like when magicians say abracadabra and then something happens. That's the way those prayers in A Course in Miracles, those italicized prayers are. If you will memorize those prayers, and if you will start to say the things that the Course in Miracles tells you to say, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't get excited about it, that's you giving spirit permission to take over and to heal the situation. So whenever you practice the Course in Miracles and you study A Course in Miracles, that's your symbolic gesture to the higher power that's saying, you know what, higher power, you know, God, I'm willing for you to take over. Infinite intelligence, I'm willing for you to take over. Love, I'm willing for you to take over. I'm ready for the answer. I'm going to do what you're telling me to do. And that will be symbolic of my willingness to follow your directions, God. So studying it and focusing your attention on the Course and doing what the Course in Miracles says in the workbook, it is your symbolic gesture showing spirit that you are willing to have spirit take over in your life and heal your mind and heal the situation that you're going through. It's more important that you remember what the Course in Miracles says than it is that you understand what the Course in Miracles is saying. Heaven is not a place. Heaven is not a condition. Heaven is not a place. Heaven is not a place. Heaven is not a place. Heaven isn't a place. The Course says, heaven is not a place nor a condition. Heaven isn't a place. It isn't a condition. Heaven is what? What is heaven? Heaven is an awareness. Heaven is an awareness of perfect oneness. So what is heaven? It is an awareness of oneness. Heaven is an awareness of oneness. Heaven is an awareness of oneness. So wherever you see heaven, you could say awareness of oneness, awareness of oneness. So the kingdom of heaven is the kingdom of awareness of oneness. So when you are aware that you are one with me and I am one with you, and we are one with everything and everyone. When you know you are unified, joined, and one with everything, with all that is, it's like heaven. It's called heaven. So heaven is an awareness of complete oneness. Heaven is the knowledge that there is nothing else but complete oneness. There is nothing else. When you are aware that there is nothing else but complete oneness, when you know that, when you are aware that there's nothing else but complete oneness, you will be in heaven. That's heaven. There is nothing outside this oneness. There's nothing else within this oneness. So heaven is what? Heaven isn't a place. Heaven isn't a condition. Heaven is an awareness of oneness. It's an awareness that there's nothing else but oneness. 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 Heaven is oneness. Heaven is love. Heaven is love. Heaven is oneness. So, what is it that God gives us? What is it that love gives us? What is it that the truth gives us? The Course says, what could God give but knowledge of God? So what does God give us? The one thing that you receive from God is the knowledge of God. See, the Course in Miracles is giving you the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of God is the knowledge of love, the knowledge of freedom, the knowledge of peace. So our Creator is trying to give us our Creator. Our Creator is trying to give us our Creator. Love is giving us love. Love is giving us the knowledge of love. So why is it that you don't know that you are the child of God? Why is it that you don't know that you are this unlimited being? Why is it that you don't know that you are a child of the infinite? Why don't you know that you are this unlimited love? Why don't you know your true identity? Why don't you know your true spiritual identity? Well, the Course says, well, the only thing that God is going to give you is knowledge of God. What else is there to give you but the knowledge of God? What else is there for you to have but the real knowledge of the truth, the real knowledge of God? So what is it that's cost you the awareness of your spiritual identity? What is it that's keeping you unaware of your true spiritual identity? The belief that you can give something other than love or get something other than love. The belief that you could give anything but the knowledge of God or get anything but the knowledge of God. The mere fact that you believe that you can get and give something outside yourself. The fact that you believe you can give something outside of yourself. The belief that you can get something from outside of yourself. That's what cost you the awareness of heaven. So what's causing you the awareness of your true identity? Because your true identity is heaven. When you know who you really are, when you make connection with who you really are, you will make a connection with something that you will call heaven. You will say you're in heaven. When you get in touch with the oneness that you are, when you know the oneness that you are, when you know your true identity, you will have awareness of love. You will have an awareness of a perfect love. You will have an awareness of a security beyond anything and love beyond anything you've ever known. So why don't you know that? Why don't you know that you are totally innocent? Why don't you know that you are totally eternal? Why don't you know that you are totally loved? Well, it says it right here. The belief that you can give and get something other than love, that you can get something other than the knowledge of your Creator, that's what makes you lose the awareness of who and what you are. Because you believe you can get and give something outside of yourself. But do you know that the Course says, and you have done a stranger thing than you yet realize. So you've done something really strange that you don't realize. I've done something really strange that I don't realize. According to the Course in Miracles, what is that strange thing? What is that strange thing that you have done and I have done that we don't realize? Now, don't forget the key word is, the key phrase to me is, you don't realize. So you don't realize, does that mean that I'm about to say something that you might not realize? I might say something right now that you don't see as true. What you're about to hear may be something you don't realize. What you don't realize is this. You have displaced any guilt that's in your mind to your body. You have displaced your guilt. The Course in Miracles says you don't realize that you're putting guilt on your body. You don't realize that you're displacing your guilt to your body from your mind. You're taking the guilt. He says what people are doing, but they don't realize it, is that they are taking the guilt that's in their mind and they're projecting it onto their body. So you may not realize it, that when you're thinking a lot of guilty thoughts, a lot of angry thoughts, a lot of fearful thoughts, those are all the same, according to the Course. You don't realize you're putting all of that guilt, all of that anger, all of that pain on your body. When you're angry and upset with yourself and you're angry and upset with somebody else, you attack your body with the thoughts in your mind. You're attacking your body with the thoughts in your mind. You're attacking your body with the thoughts in your mind. You're attacking your body with the thoughts in your mind when you have guilt, when you have guilt, when you have anger, when you have anger, when you have grievances. You're displacing your guilt to your body from your mind. But what is the truth about the body and guilt? What is the truth about the body and guilt? Well, the Course says, yet a body cannot be guilty. A body cannot be guilty. A body cannot be guilty. Your 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 body cannot be guilty. So why is it that your body can't be guilty? Why is it that your body can't be guilty? Well, do you know that the reason why your body can't be guilty is because your body cannot do anything of itself. Your body doesn't make any decisions about anything. Your body doesn't make any decisions about anything you do. Your body doesn't make any choices or decisions about anything that you do with it. Your body can do nothing of itself. Your body can do nothing of itself. Your body does not do, your body doesn't say, I'm ready to go watch TV. Your body doesn't say, I'm ready to go for a walk. Your body doesn't say, I'm going to call my sister. Your body doesn't tell you to do anything. Your body doesn't make you do anything. That's why your body can't be guilty, because your body has never made a decision. Your body has never determined anything you've ever done or anything you have ever experienced with your body. Do you know that your body has never decided anything that you were going to do with your body? Do you know that your body never decides what you're going to do with it? So your body isn't guilty, because your body has never made a decision about any of your behaviors or any of your actions. Your body can't be guilty because it can do nothing. It can do nothing of itself. Yes, your body is a neutral thing. Course in Miracles student, whoever's listening to this, remember what our purpose is. Our purpose is for you to remember what you are being told. So what is that? Well, what have you been told? Well, you've been told that there's guilt in your mind that you displace onto your body. But your body can't be guilty, because your body doesn't make any decisions about what you do. So if you think, so what is it that a person is doing if they think they hate their body? If you think you hate your body, you're deceiving yourself. If you think you hate your body, if you don't like your body, and your body is your whole perception of your experience, actually. Your body is your perception. So when we talk about you being inside the body, we're not just talking about your physical body. Don't you see that you are inside your bubble of perception? Don't you see that you're actually not only inside your body, it looks like you're inside your perception. So when we say body, we're talking about perception also. So you who think you hate your body deceive yourself. You'll never, do you know you're never really hating your body? Do you know you're never really hating your physical circumstances or your perceptions? What you're really hating is your mind. So how can a person tell when they hate their mind? The Course says you hate your mind. You don't hate your body. You hate your mind. You don't hate your body. You hate your way of thinking. You don't hate your body. You hate your thinking. You don't hate your body. So what does it mean to hate your mind? Well, he says it right here. You hate your mind because guilt has entered into your mind. So to hate your mind just means you have guilt in your mind. So the Course in Miracles says if a person has guilt in their mind, they hate their mind. And if you have guilt in your mind, and if you have hate in your mind, then it says, then your mind would remain separate from your brothers, which it can't do. So if a mind feels guilty, a mind wants to separate. People want to separate from who and what they feel, from who they feel guilty about. If you feel guilty, if you have guilt and you're feeling guilt about a person or with a person, the Course says that's a part of you that wants to separate from people that you make yourself feel guilty when you're around them, or they make you feel guilty, or you think you've done something to them that you feel guilty about. So the Course says, do you know that you hate your mind when guilt enters into your mind? And when guilt enters into your mind, then you want to remain separate from everybody else, but you can't do it. He says it would remain separate from your brothers. Your mind would remain separate from your brothers, which are your equals. It has nothing to do with the male gender when it says brothers in A Course in Miracles. It says your brothers are your equals. Your brothers are who you are joined with. So you can't really be separate from me, and I can't really be separate from you, because it's not our bodies. You are not your body. I'm not my body. So our bodies don't really separate us, because what we really are is mind. We are spirit. So the Course in Miracles says what makes us think we're separate is what? We hate our minds if we have guilt in our minds. And if we have guilt in our minds, then we would remain separate from each other, but we can't do it. Now, what would the Course in Miracles say you're supposed to do? Well, it says you're supposed to remember what you just heard. Now, what did you just hear? What did you just hear? Well, do you remember that it told you that God can only give you knowledge of God? Do you remember that I said there's nothing else to give but love? And did you remember that the Course in Miracles says the belief that you could give or get anything other than love, anything other than God, that's what's cost you your awareness of who you really are. So you don't really know you're the unlimited spiritual being that you are, because you still think you can give or get something other than God, other than truth, other than love. A person that wants something other than truth, a person that wants something other than love, then they lose the awareness of their identity, because their identity is love. You are love. You are a living extension of love. So when you focus on anything other than love, which is freedom, then you are losing the awareness of your identity. What do you mean? Your identity is love. Your identity is freedom. Your identity is the child of God. Since your identity is love, if you believe you could give and get something other than love, then you're going to lose the awareness of your identity. Forget that you are an immortal spiritual being. You've forgotten that you are an eternal, immortal, physical, spiritual being. The Course says that we've forgotten that because we think we can give and get something other than God, that we want something other than love. But then it turns around and says, you all need to remember that I told you that you've done something even stranger that you don't realize, that you may not realize. What is it that we've done that's really strange that we may not realize? He says, you may not realize that you've displaced your guilt to your body from your mind. But your mind can't be guilty. Your body cannot be guilty. Remember, your body cannot be guilty because your body has never made one decision about anything you've ever done with your body. No matter what you've done with your body didn't decide for you to do it. So your body isn't guilty. So if you think you hate your body, you're fooling yourself. If you think you hate your body, you're deceiving yourself. The truth is you hate your mind. The person hates their mind whenever guilt enters their mind. When guilt enters a person's mind, then they hate their own mind, and it makes the person want to remain separate. So separation, and the sense of separation is coming from the guilt in the mind. But what did it say? It said, but you don't realize that. So I'm telling you something that you may not agree with, because you may not realize it. You don't realize it. The Course in Miracles could be the course in what you don't realize. It's like the book saying, I'm going to tell you everything that you don't know and what you don't realize. I'm going to be the ultimate shadow teacher. I'm going to make you aware of things that you are doing that you don't know you're doing. I'm going to make you aware of thoughts that you're having that you don't know you're having. I'm going to make you aware of things. I'm going to make you aware of things that you are not aware of. But because you're not aware of it, you're going to maybe possibly say, I don't believe that. I don't realize that. I don't think that way. But that's what we were told, that you don't. I'm about to tell you something that you don't realize. Do you know that minds are joined? We on chapter 18, section 6, paragraph 3. And we are on page 380. We on page 385, paragraph 3 in the text of A Course in Miracles, the Foundation for Inner Peace version. So what is it? So what else is it that the Course in Miracles wants to make us aware of? It's this. Do you know that minds are joined? Our minds are joined. Our minds are joined. Do you know that your mind and my mind, our minds are joined? Bodies aren't. Bodies are not joined. Bodies cannot join. Bodies cannot join. Even in sex, your bodies actually have not actually joined and connected, because if your bodies were really joined, you couldn't disconnect after the sex act, for instance. Bodies are not joined. Bodies do not join. Bodies never do actually join. Do you hear what the Course in Miracles are saying? Minds are joined. Thoughts are joined. We can have thoughts that join, which is the same as saying we can have thoughts that are unified. We can have thoughts that are connected. It's not the body that can join. It's the mind that can join. I told you this was going to be a deep section, and isn't it deep? Isn't it really? What do y'all think about this? It's awesome, isn't it? It's a trip. But don't forget, you don't have to believe this. You don't have to understand it. It's not about understanding. That's not what it's about right now. Where we are at the place that Spirit is telling us what's really happening, whether we know it or not. Whether we know it or not, bodies never join. Bodies never join. Bodies never physically join. Minds join. So how does separation seem to be possible? What is it that makes what appears to be separation between us? Why does separation seem possible? Well, he says, we assign to the mind the properties of the body. In other words, we think the body is separate, so therefore we think our minds are separate. We think we have individual bodies, so the Course says you assign that the fact that we have different bodies, we tell ourselves that also means that we have different minds. So by assigning to the mind the properties of the body, and what is the biggest property of the body? That it is separate. So we think because the body is separate, and then you identify with the body, then you also think you have a separate mind, and you think you have a mind that's separate and different from everybody else's mind. And so what else happens when you so the Course in Miracles is saying to you and me, the mind doesn't have the same characteristics as the body. The mind is different from the body. The mind is different from the body. The mind is not like the body. The mind has characteristics and properties that are different from the characteristics and properties of the body. The mind has totally different properties from the body. Your mind is nothing like your body. Your mind is nothing like your body. But it looks like we're separate because we believe that the mind is separate. You looks like you're separate because you think your mind is separate. It's the mind that seems to be fragmented. It looks like your mind is private. Doesn't it look like your mind is private? Well, the Course says, I love it, how it says a mind that is private is a mind that thinks it's alone. So what you are as a human being, you could say a human being is a private mind. A human being, an individual human being, is nothing but a mind that thinks it's private. A human being is a mind that thinks it is alone. A human being is a mind that believes it's separate. So, what is it that makes a person think they have a separate mind? What is it that makes a person think that they have an individual separate mind? The Course says it's guilt, that it's unconscious guilt, unconscious fear, unconscious anger, unconscious grievances, unconscious lack. The mind's guilt, which keeps the mind separate. The guilt is projected onto the body. I'm going to go through this sentence. Is one of the most profound sentences in A Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles says that we don't know it, but the mind that has guilt, well, guilt makes the mind think that it's separate. And when you have guilt in your mind, he says, you don't know it, but you are projecting that guilt onto your body. So what is it that happens after you project your guilty thoughts onto your body? He says, then the body suffers. So body's suffering is actually coming from having guilt in the mind that's being projected onto the body, and then the body suffers and dies. So are you aware that the Course in Miracles just described why bodies suffer and die? Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a different explanation of suffering and death than what my ego or the world teaches me. The world always teaches me that my suffering and my death is going to come from something other than me. It's going to come from something outside of myself. That my suffering is being caused by something outside of myself or somebody outside of myself. Or that I die because of something outside of myself. The Course in Miracles is saying, no, that's not the way it works. The only way you can be separate and have a separate identity, according to the Course, is that you have to have guilt in your mind. And that guilt in your mind has to be displaced onto your body. And when you have guilt in your mind, then that guilt is projected onto the body. And that's why the body suffers and dies, because the body is attacked. Because the body is attacked to hold the separation in the mind. That we project that guilt onto our body so that we won't know our identity. You see, if you are a body and you are a body that's suffering, if you feel suffering in your body, do you see how that would make you think you are your body? Do you know that pleasure is just another way to get you to identify with your body because you feel the pleasure in the body? And do you know that pain also makes you identify with the body, and it puts all your attention on the body? And the Course in Miracles is saying that's why you don't know who you are. That I don't know who I really am, and you don't know who you really are, because you don't realize that you have made yourself like a body. You're no longer seeing yourself as mind. You're no longer seeing yourself as consciousness. You're no longer seeing yourself as spirit. You're no longer seeing yourself as love. You're no longer seeing yourself as awareness. You're seeing yourself as a body. You're seeing yourself as separate. And he's in the Course in Miracles is saying it's our minds that are joined. That's why this truth that's going into our mind right now is going into the collective mind. Everything that we're learning, do you know that everything we're studying and everything that we're hearing is going into the collective? It is actually going into the mind, the one mind that we all share. So when we do this, we're doing this for everyone, and it's having an impact on the one mind. And that's the beauty of what we're doing, is that by studying the truth and focusing in on the truth, then we're also healing the one mind that we are all a part of. And that is the most beautiful thing you could ever do with all the things that seem to be going on in the so-called outside world. But the Course in Miracles saying, well, you know what? There is no outside world. Everything you're looking at is in your mind, in the one mind that you share. Everything you're experiencing is really being experienced in the mind. But the Course in Miracles says that if you focus on anything other than love, if you focus on anything other than the knowledge of God, then you experience what we call fear and anger and guilt and sickness that comes from focusing on anything other than the truth, focusing on anything other than God. And then the Course says at that point, you're going to begin to hate. You're going to begin to feel guilt in your mind, but you don't realize this. You don't realize this. You don't realize this. And he says, and then you take that unconscious guilt that you may not even be aware of, and you displace it and project it onto your body, especially if you hate your body, especially if you don't see your body as a beautiful instrument of extending love and truth, and you got issues around your body, or you feel guilt around anything you've ever done with your body. Then you need to remember that your body never made the decision to do anything that you've ever done. So the Course in Miracles says in that paragraph, don't forget that your mind cannot attack. So your mind really can't hurt anyone. Your mind cannot really attack. But what can your mind do? Your mind can make fantasies. So what is it that the average person is doing all the time? The average person is making fantasies. I have the fantasy of going here. I have the fantasy of going there. I have the fantasy of being this. And I have the fantasy of being that. And I have the fantasy. The Course in Miracles says we are using our minds to just come up with our fantasies, which we call all of our personal desires that we think we'd like to experience, that we think is going to make us happy or make us feel good. The Course in Miracles says your mind can make fantasies. And then what does your mind do when it makes a fantasy? The Course in Miracles says, well, then your mind directs your body to act your fantasies out. So most people are doing what? Most people are just trying to act their fantasies out. Most people are trying to act out their fantasies. I got a fantasy of going to Hawaii, and now I got to act out that fantasy. I have a fantasy of losing 50 pounds. Well, I've got to act out that fantasy. I have a fantasy of having the perfect mate. Well, I got to act out that fantasy. I have the fantasy of having a very important position at a company. Then I've got to act out that fantasy. I have the fantasy of being something other than the child of God. Then I've got to act out that fantasy. So now, instead of knowing myself as unlimited spirit, I think of myself as a physical body named Earl Purdy walking the street. That's because I am focusing on something other than truth and focusing on something other than God and thinking that I'm separate. And so if I believe that I'm separate, then I have to have something to be separate in. If you're going to be separate, you got to have something to be separate in. And guess what? I have a body. And my body is something for me to be separate in. Because now I have my body, and then it looks like you have your body, and it looks like I have my mind, and it looks like you have your mind, because we don't recognize that bodies are not joined, but minds are joined. Man cannot attack, but man can make fantasies. Man can make fantasies and direct the body to act them out. You can make up fantasies. You can make fantasies and direct the body to act your fantasies out. You are directing your body to act your fantasies out. Fantasies out. Fantasies out. Yet, what does the chorus says? Yet, Yet it is never what the body does that seems to satisfy. It doesn't matter what you do in your body, it never seems to permanently satisfy you. Aren't you aware? Haven't you noticed that? That no matter what you do, no matter what you get in the body, no matter what bodily experiences you give yourself, you always want more. You always want more. The average person always wants more. I don't care what they get, they always want more. I don't care if it's more pleasure or more pain. I don't care if it's more things or more. The Course in Miracles says that it's never what the body does that seems to satisfy you. It's never what the body does that seems to satisfy you. So what happens? What happens if your fantasies are not acted out? What happens if your dreams and your fantasies and your desires are not acted out? What does the Course says? Unless the mind believes the body is acting out its fantasies, unless you believe that your body is acting out your fantasies, unless the mind believes the body is acting out its fantasies. In other words, if you don't act out your fantasies, the Course says, then your mind will attack your body. When my fantasies are not acted out, when I don't get what I want, the Course says, then the mind attacks the body. So how do you attack your body when you don't get what you want? How do you attack your body when your fantasies are not acted out? Well, this is the way the mind attacks the body. Let me tell you how it works. When you have a fantasy and it looks like that fantasy is not being acted out, that desire is not being satisfied, the Course says there's a part of your mind that then attacks yourself, that attacks you, that you attack yourself for not having what you want. You attack yourself for your fantasies not being acted out. You may even be tempted to attack somebody else if they don't act out your fantasy. And you're right, sickness is what comes from the mind attacking the body with guilt, because the body isn't acting out the mind's fantasies. So the Course in Miracles says, so how does the mind attack the body? It says, by increasing the projection of its guilt upon the body. So how do you make the body sick? How do you attack the body? By continually feeling guilty, by continually being angry, by continually being upset because you're not getting what you want. Your fantasies are not being acted out. You're not getting your fantasies acted out. And the Course in Miracles says that when a person's fantasies are not acted out, then the mind attacks the body by increasing its projection of guilt upon it. That's why the most important thing that you need to remember out of what we've said so far is you want the focus to always be on your innocence, your sinlessness. Guilt is your only enemy. Making yourself feel guilty, that's what makes lack. That's what makes sickness. That's what makes attack. That's what makes lack. That's what makes unhappiness, is guilt in the mind. The guilt that we feel when we know we are betraying ourselves. See, guilt comes from self-betrayal, because you know deep down in your soul you are betraying yourself every time you don't love yourself and allow yourself to receive love and to receive happiness and to receive God. That's self-betrayal. Every time you think you are alone, on your own, self-sufficient, disconnected from source, disconnected from God, then the Course says that automatically creates unconscious guilt, because you know that is a lie and that that's not true. So we make up fantasies. And if the fantasies are not acted out, we get angry, we get PO'd. He says, well, every time you get upset because your fantasies are not being acted out and people are not acting out your script, right? Then the Course says, then that results in you attacking your body when you're angry. And that attack is simply increasing the projection of the mind's guilt on the body. So that's why it's so important to be in a holy relationship. Because do you know a holy relationship is a relationship where you have one main purpose in that relationship, which is to reinforce the idea and the thought of each other's innocence. Instead of using the relationship to project anger and guilt and get upset with the other person because it looks like they're not acting out your fantasies, so you attack yourself because they're not acting out your fantasies. The Course in Miracles is saying the last thing you want to do is be in any situation or relationship that's constantly increasing your guilt and increasing your anger, because that's an attack on the body. And when you attack the body, it gets sick. And the body is your whole perception and not just your physical body. So it'll look like your finances are sick, your relationship is sick, your body is sick. You know, it will seem like things are going crazy in your world and you just see things that are making you unhappy and frightened. Those things are the result of your own mind attacking your own experience, because the mind feels like the body isn't acting out its fantasies. Now, just hearing that, listen to what we've just covered in the first 3 paragraphs will be mind-boggling as far as your awakening process. So that's why I suggest that you really and truly listen to this at least 4 times, not trying to analyze it, but just to hear, what am I being told? What am I being told? What was I told about why my body suffers and why I die? This we've covered that. We've started on that. This is just the 3rd paragraph of the section called Beyond the Body. So that just gives you some idea how deep this section is going to be that we're going through. All right. I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. I like to ask you to make a financial expression of appreciation. If you feel led to do that, I would truly appreciate that. That would really, really be awesome. God is the source, but we are the channels. All that we give is given to ourselves. If you'd like to do that, you can go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. You can also use Venmo, the Cash App, Zelle, and you can also use PayPal. Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, PayPal. You only need my email. You can use Zelle also. And my email is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. If you want to work with me one-on-one as a mentor or a counselor or advisor, or a combination of all 3, using my over 40 years of teaching and learning the Course in Miracles and working with people to save you time and cut right to the chase to how you can make a radical shift in yourself and your consciousness. And if you're open to it, take advantage of my 40 years of also practicing soul purpose astrology and numerology. I call what I do a clarity session. If it's something you need to get clear about once and for all and how to apply the truth to it, you might want to consider doing a clarity session with me. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, look under the Clarity Session tab, and it will give you the details about my sessions. And do you know that you can book a session online at my website. You can self book a session with me right there. Please join my contact list so that I can keep in touch with you and let you know of the different things that I'll be doing coming up. On Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. I do another Facebook Live in front of a live audience on Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. I also post all of my classes on YouTube, so you can watch hundreds of my classes on my website, on YouTube, and on Facebook. I'm just here to be helpful. And on Thursday nights at 7 p.m., I do what I call Hardcore Course in Miracles. And Hardcore Course in Miracles, that's for people who are actually studying A Course in Miracles and really want to take advantage of someone that's been working with it as long as I have to save themselves time. And plus, it gives us a chance to go deeper into the material when we're all studying it. And that's my greatest joy. So I want you to know I am so incredibly thankful that you don't consider an hour to an hour and 15 minutes too much to focus in on your personal awakening and your personal joy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, if it's a stretch to spend an hour waking up to who you really are, then you have to ask yourself how serious you are about your dedication to the truth. So I want to thank you and appreciate you. So let me do a quick, just a minute or two to do a quick little review of what we heard tonight. And listen to this at least and watch this 4 times. 4 times. So what is it that you must come to realize? That there's nothing outside you. There's nothing outside you. That's what you got to ultimately learn. There's nothing outside you. And that you are not separate from your Creator. You just don't realize it, but you are connected to your Creator, and your Creator could never separate from you. What is heaven? Well, heaven is not a place. Heaven isn't a condition. It's an awareness of your oneness and knowing that there's nothing else but oneness. And also, what is it that God gave you? God is giving you the knowledge of God. Love is giving you the knowledge of love. There isn't anything else to get but the knowledge of God, the knowledge of love. The belief that you can get or the belief that you can give or get something other than the knowledge of God, he says that's why you don't know who you really are. If you think you are a body, if you think you are a body and just a human being, if you think you are a body and just a human being, if you think you are a body and just a human being, then that means you've lost sight of your identity. But you've done something even stranger. You are displacing guilt to your body from your mind. Your body cannot be guilty because your body doesn't make any decisions about what you do. You who think you hate your body, you don't really hate your body. You're deceiving yourself. You really hate your mind because guilt has entered into your mind. If you have a guilty mind, then you are a person that wants to be separate from everyone. But don't forget that minds are joined. Bodies are not. So mind doesn't have the same properties as the body. Minds are joined, but bodies are different. Bodies are separate. Minds are connected. Bodies are not. So it's your mind seems to be private. Your mind seems to be alone because you have assigned the properties of the mind to the body. You think that the mind is separate. And the Course is saying you all think that the mind is separate because you think that the body is separate. And so it looks like your mind is private. It looks like your mind is alone. But it's your guilt that keeps you separate. If you want to stay separate, you have to keep a certain amount of anger and guilt and grievances and conflict going on in your life and in your perception all the time. If you want to stay separate, you have to keep some form of guilt in your mind all the time. And when you get angry and it looks like your fantasies are not being acted out, the Course in Miracles says we project our guilt onto the body, and that's what makes the body suffer, and that's what makes the body die. So attack holds the separation in mind. If you're angry all the time, attacking all the time, that's just another way that your ego is trying to keep you thinking that you're separate. Do you know that your mind cannot attack? Your mind cannot really hurt anyone because the mind isn't physical, so the mind can't attack. The mind isn't physical, so the mind can't attack. But what the mind can do is the mind can make up fantasies and direct the body to act them out. So the average person is making up fantasies, things outside of themselves that they think need to be different in order to make them happy. Now, if you really get conscious, do you know what's going to happen? You're going to realize that it's never what your body does that seems to satisfy you. Nothing seems to satisfy you permanently. Nothing seems to satisfy the average person. And do you know that unless your mind believes the body is acting out its fantasies, unless your mind believes that your body is acting out its fantasies, do you know that your mind will attack your body? If your mind feels like its fantasies and its desires are not being acted out, do you know that your mind will attack your body? How will your mind attack the body? Because the mind can't really physically attack the body. So what does it do? Well, the mind has thoughts of guilt, thoughts of anger. And so the mind attacks the body by increasing the projection of guilt and anger onto the body. Don't you feel your anger in your body? Don't you feel your guilt in your body? Don't you feel the pain in your body? Don't you feel the physical pleasure in your body? That's how you know that your mind can project onto your body. So what do you want to do? You want to remember heaven. You want to remember that we are one. You want to remember that we are joined. You want to remember that we are sinless. We are innocent. Because the idea of your innocence will protect you. Your innocence is another term for holiness in A Course in Miracles. So a holy relationship is an innocent relationship. A holy relationship is a relationship that the goal of the relationship is to remove the guilt, anger, and grievances, and to recognize the love and the innocence. That's the healthiest thing that you can do. That's the best thing you could do for your body and your physical world, is to recognize heaven, which is oneness. You are one with me, and I am one with you. Mighty companion. Wow, I needed to hear this. My ego tried to defend in the very beginning of the class with all kinds of technical stuff, but I was determined that I wanted to be a messenger for the Course in Miracles for you this evening. And those of you who really, see me as your teacher and really see me as someone that you feel really, really helps you through being the messenger that I attempt to be, I want you to know how much I love you, how much I appreciate you. There's nothing that brings me greater joy and satisfaction than being a messenger for A Course in Miracles. I want to be a voice for love, a voice for God. And those of you who value what I say and what the Course says through me, I just want you to know I do not take that for granted. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I only want to be a better messenger. Mighty companion, may the Course be with you. Love you.